Hello, and welcome to this week's Intro to Technology Managing Google Drive. I am Yvonne James. I am a digital teaching and learning coach with Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. And if you have any questions about this presentation, you can email me at ypjames@wsfcs.k12.nc.us. And also, if you want to be able to actually see these slides, you can type in your address bar bit.ly/Google Drive Manage, and that will give you access to these slides. So let's get started. In this session, we will discuss what I call the anatomy of Google Drive. So when we're looking in there, what are we really seeing? We're going to talk about sharing and levels of sharing, how to wade through all that stuff that has been shared with you, and how to add things to your Google Drive. And then we're going to talk about a little bit more with, since this is managing, how to do some organizational things to make you more efficient, like adding colors to your folders, stars to folders and documents, and then also using your workspaces. So let's start off by looking at the anatomy. What do we see? So this is my Google Drive here. And I'm going to talk a little bit later whenever I actually get in. This is just a picture of it. But when we get into my Google Drive, talking about the differences between list view and grid view, and that is just a personal preference, whether you like your items to be in a list or whether you like the small icons of being in a grid. And you're not stuck with anything. You can switch back and forth whenever you like. I would find one of the things that whenever people are having problems with not being able to find something, like they're like, I know that someone shared it with me, or I know that I have this in my drive, you need to check which account you're in. Up here in the upper right hand corner where it says add, and you can add and remove accounts. So I always try to make sure that you see this WSFCS in my blue and black butterfly, and that lets me know that I am in my school account. I also have a Just Dance gamer icon on my personal one. And so if I see that in that upper corner there, I know that I am now in my personal account versus my school account. And so I do like to change my icons between my accounts, because if I just use my initials, my name's the same no matter where I am. So I like having those icons there that'll help me know which account I'm in. I use Search Drive all the time. So it's easier than going into the folders if I do know what the name of something is, and I'll pull that down a little bit when we get into my drive, and you'll see how you can search by the name of it. You can search by who created it. You can search by the type. So are you looking for slides, or are you looking for a doc, that kind of thing. So that is super helpful to use your search in your Google Drive. Going around, we're actually going to be at the end going over how to use our priority drive, which is creating workspaces. And then right under there, you have my drive, which is what you're usually in. That's like the default where you go to. A little bit further down, you have shared with me, and that's where things are that everyone has shared with you. And the last thing we're going to talk about today is your starred folder and how to get things into your starred folder. So next, let's talk about the levels of sharing. So the default, because I know a lot of people think when you think of Google Drive, you think it's a cloud service. And so everything is in the cloud and it's open to everyone. The default is that everything is actually private to only you, unless, of course, you have created it in a folder that was already shared. So if you're creating a document inside of a shared folder, then it'll be shared with those same people. But if you're just creating something in your drive or in a folder that you have not shared with anyone, then it is private to only you. From there, you decide who you want to share it with. You can choose specific people, and you can decide whether they can edit. And if they can edit your document, they have all the rights that you do, and they can add, delete, and change everything on your document. And you won't know that they've done it unless you go and view the history to see what's happened. If you give someone canned comment rights, they'll be able to change things, but as a suggestion. So where they delete a word, it'll show a strike through. Or if they want to add a word, it'll put it in there, but it'll put a little comment out to the side that say that they added these words. And then you can either keep or not with those suggestions. And then if you have a document that you don't want anybody to touch, you share it as can view. And can view means just that. All they can do is look at it. They can't make any changes to it. So if I have a newsletter and I'm sending it out to my parents, I'm going to send it out as can view because all I want them to do is just look at it. That same newsletter, whenever I'm sending it out to, and I think I'm pretty done with it, but I send it out to one of my teammates so they can look over it. I might send it out as can comment so that any changes that they make, I'll know, I'll have those comment marks on there so I can see what changes they were suggesting. But if I'm working on a set of slides with a teammate that we're going to both be using, then I would share that with them as can edit so that we're both, because we're both collaborating equally on these slides, that kind of thing. And sometimes if you don't want to just type in specific names, you might want to just give the link to someone for so they can do these same things, edit, comment, or view, but you would get the shareable link and you would share that link with them. And we are going to jump in and look at a couple of documents in my drive and talk about sharing and just like where that sharing is. So I am going to scroll down till I find something good to look at. Let's go with the copy of motion chart. So if I right click on this copy of motion chart, and it has not been shared with anybody, so I'm going to click on share. And then I can type in someone's address. Let's go with Marty. And the default over here, so I'll be sharing this with Marty, is the edit. So he can make direct edits. But then if I do the drop down, I can change it to can comment. And now I have the comment bubble there. Or I can drop it down to can view and that you can have the eyeball. This box is checked to notify people, meaning that Marty will get an email saying, hey, Yvonne shared a document with you. Otherwise, and if I uncheck it, he won't get that email, but the document will still be shared with him. Now for the link, I'm going to click on this Get Shareable link. And the default of the Get Shareable link is anyone in WSFCS with the link can view. I can also choose that they can comment or they can edit. And that is where we sometimes run into a problem because you'll put a link, you'll get that link and you'll share it, but you're sharing it with maybe the parents, like it's your newsletter. And the parents, some of them might be in WSFCS, so they will have no problem viewing it, but the ones that are not will. So you have to click on more. And then you want to change it to anyone with the link. And then down here, it goes right to anyone with the link can view, but you can also choose can edit or can comment. So that is how you would get the shareable link. I'm going to leave it as can view, and I'll say save. And actually, I'm not going to send that to Marty. But now I can click on copy link, and it says link copied to clipboard. And now I can paste that link wherever I need it to go. So I can paste it in an email. I can paste it on my PowerSchool learning page or anywhere I need to put the link so that people that want to view this can get to it. Now let's talk about shared with me. So over here, have shared with me, and this is everything that was shared with me, and I have lots of things shared with me today, and they are shared with me, and they're just in there. And there is no organizing shared with me except for by date. So, my suggestion is if someone shares something with you and you want to be able to find it again when they share it with you, I'm going to open up this creating in Google Drive that someone has shared with me from our creating in Google Drive last week. And after it loads, you'll be able to add it to your own Google Drive. And when you add it to your Google Drive, as opposed to shared with me, that's not really your space, then you will be able to put it in a folder where you can find it again. So it's almost done loading. And now it's done. So right up here at the top next to the title, there's a Google Drive icon with a plus. So that triangle with the plus, I'm going to click on it and it adds it to my drive, but I'm going to go a step further and say organize. And now it's not just in my drive all crazy. I can put it in the folder, and I know this is from our intro to tech training. So I'm going to click on that folder and I'm going to say move here. And so now that document has been moved to my intro to tech training folder. And so now when I go to look for it again, I don't have to go scrolling through shared with me. I can get it from exactly where I need to get it from. I'm going to leave that open because we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But now we are going to go back to my drive. And let's look at a couple things. I'm going to click on my account up here. And that is where I said, remember I said I changed my image. So if you just click on that little picture, then you can select to upload a picture. I'm not going to change it because I like my blue and black butterfly. But you can just click on that and then click on the picture and add an image to yours so that you can be able to identify between your personal Gmail account and your school account when you're in there. Also, if you've signed into multiple accounts, right here they would both be there and you can switch between them. So another thing that I want to show you is this list view versus grid view. Right now I'm in grid view because that's the one that I prefer. And that's where I can see all these little icons and a kind of preview of what I'm looking at. So the folders are first and then my different files are in there. I have it as in alphabetical order, but you can change it to list view by clicking on there. And if I change it to list view, then it is not going to have the icons, but it's a little bit more condensed. So when I go down, I have, instead of my folders are again still first, and it lets you know who the owner is, when it was last modified. And then you get to these icons, and then it just has an icon. Is it a doc? Is it a PDF? That kind of thing. But I don't really see the full preview. But it's also a little bit easier to look at. So again, that's just personal preference. Do you like it to be in grid view or do you like it to be in list view? And you're not stuck to either one. You can just toggle back and forth as you like. Next, we want to look at the search Google Drive. So I can just start typing in, I'm typing in managing Google Drive, but it's going to come up with everything that has managing. But what I really like more than typing in the words are the advanced search. By clicking on that drop down triangle on the side there, then I can say that I am looking for a presentation that was owned by me because I made the presentation. And if I don't choose owned by me, then I can also put in a specific person. and start typing in their email address. So if I typed in Marty, then his email address comes up, but I'm actually going for something specific here. So I'm going to say a specific presentation owned by me that has managing in it. See, that has the word managing. They put that in there. And then when I hit search, it is going to search for a presentation. And I've used managing in a lot of presentations. So this is the most recent one. And that is something that will come up, and it makes it a lot easier to be able to find things in your Google Drive. Now I'm going to go to my folders and make it a little bit bigger so that you guys can see my folders there. And what I have going on here are colors, and then some of them have people on them. And the differences are like this classroom walk folder and the DTL folder. They have people on them because those folders have been shared with other people. Now, this folder that's just called folders, and this one it's meeting notes because that's where I put all my meeting notes. Those do not have any people on them because I have not shared those folders with anyone. So those are just anything that goes in that folder is just private to me. Anything that goes in these other folders with the people on it will be shared with the same people that it's already shared with. My DTL folder, my projects folder, my folder with my schools, those are ones that I go to often out of all these folders that I have on here. So I have changed colors. I'm going to click on my meeting notes and I'm right clicking. And when I right click, it says change color. And we have all these colors to choose from. I'm going to choose yellow, which was desert sand. And so now it is yellow. So you can come up with whatever color system you like. And I'm actually going to put it back to gray because that folder is supposed to be gray in my mind. So I'm going to put it back to gray, but you can just change. And so it's not stuck or anything like that. I will say this DTL folder is shared by the entire digital teaching and learning team and some other people in the technology team. However, I've changed it to red, and Marty, he might still have his as gray. So whenever you change things like this, it only changes on your view. It doesn't change it for the other person. Same way, whenever that copy of creating a Google Drive that someone shared with me, when I moved it into my folder, it did not change the location for the original owner. So things that you're changing are only changing on your side of Google Drive, so in your view, but it's not changing it for other people. So if you have a folder and you've shared it with your team or someone has shared it with you and you want to change the color, you can change the color and you don't have to worry about it messing up their color system. Other things we can do are add stars. So I'm going to go back to this copy of creating in Google Drive. And right next to, now you see it's a folder instead of an add to Google Drive because it's already in my drive. But right next to that, there is a star. So if I click on that star, it turns yellow. And now that has added it to my starred folder. So if I go over to this folder on the left-hand side that says starred, there is right there a copy of creating in Google Drive. So it's a quick way to get to things that you use often, but you don't want to have too many things in there. So whenever you don't want to have that in your starred folder anymore, you can click on that star again and it'll take a moment, but it will leave. And while it's taking that moment, I'm going to go back to my drive and I am going to add my meeting notes to my starred folder. So if you right click on any file or folder, there is this add to starred. So if I click on add to starred, now my meeting notes and it's adding it to starred, but notice that my meeting notes are still here in my drive right where I expect it to be. But I can also go to starred folder, and there are my meeting notes. And if I scroll down, remember right here was where that copy was, and it's not there anymore. So, and I can do it from here also. I can remove from starred. So that's ways that you can add and remove items from your starred folder, and that's just so that it's easy to get to. This individual schools folder is something that I use often, but it's inside of my DTL folder inside the 2019. And then it's several clicks for me to get to it. And since I use it so much, that one folder from inside of that folder, I decided to add it to my starred folder so I can get to it a lot faster. So that's a reason why I would use the starred. Now, one of the new things, and it's new like last year, but I didn't really start using it until this year, is my priority drive. So my priority drive, I can create workspaces. And workspaces allow you to collect documents from multiple folders and locations. And just like whenever I added something to my star folder, it didn't take it away from where it was originally. So I can still get to it that way. But I can also collect things all together. So these are my coach schedules. So whenever I go out to a school, it says like hour by hour where I'm going to be and who I'm working with and how many credits teachers have at that school. So that's my coach schedule. And I would normally, to get to this one for North Forsyth, I would have to go into the DTL folder, into the 2019 2020 folder, into the individual schools folder, into the North Forsyth folder, and then I would click on this. So that's a whole lot of clicks. And instead, I know that I've created this workspace. So I just go to priority and I click on it, and I have that, and I have all of, when it says view 9 more. So I have all of my other schools there also. So that is what's nice about having a workspace. You can have up to 25 files in a workspace. You cannot add folders to a workspace. So I'm going to show you how to create one. You just click on this create button and you give it a name. I'm going to call this one practice workspace so I know to delete it. And my mouse just jumped in the middle there. So practice workspace, and I click create. And then it's going to ask me if I want to add some files there, which usually you do when you're creating a workspace. I click add files. And then I can search my Google Drive. It's going to go with recent because it's going to be like, yeah, you're probably just working on these things. So I'm going to say, click on that copy of creating, click on managing Google Drive, click on tech training, and this interactive form. I don't know. And I'm going to say insert. And now all those are together in a workspace. And those are in all different folders, and they're actually still in those folders. But now, if I was trying to get to those files and there's something that like a project that I'm working on and I'm pulling things from all over the place, I could just have them all together and I don't have to keep on clicking to different folders to get to things. So I can click done. And now I have this practice workspace. And then when I'm all finished with it, I can click on the 3 dots and I can say remove workspace. And notice this message that came up. It says the workspace will be permanently removed, but the files will remain in their original locations. So yes, I click remove because what it's letting me know is that now it's gone. It's a blink over there again. But my files that I was just playing with just now, they're still where they normally were. So let's go back to our presentation. So that was a lot. And because I'm doing it all by myself, I was going pretty quick, but since it's a video, you can always go back, rewind, pause. But we went over the anatomy of Google Drive, sharing and how to find things, and you share it with me. And the best thing to do with share it with me is to add things to your drive and put them in your own organization system. And then to help you get organized, we talked about how you can change the colors of your folders, add stars to folders and to documents and files, and then also consider creating some workspaces for some of the projects that you're working on. So, I would like you to test your knowledge on what you know about managing Google Drive. So, if you go to this website, joinmyquiz.com, that's for quizzes, right? Joinmyquiz.com, and put in the code 455228. It'll ask you a few questions. And that's also for if you're watching this and you're like, hey, I want to put this on my DLC document. How do you know that I really watched it? That's how I'll know. So that's why on there I ask you to please use your real name. So if you're not trying to look at it for any kind of attendance purposes, then use whatever name you like. But if you did want to like kind of check in and put your name on the list, like, hey, Yvonne, I was here, I did this, go ahead and use your real name. And this is not just a one shot deal. So if you don't get the score that you want the first time, you can try the quiz over and over again until you get the score that you want. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at ypjames@wsfcs.k12.nc.us. And thank you so much for hanging out with me.